Hello everyone, welcome to the Eastern Front. Right now we're looking at the game Sagrada. This is a dice drafting game. I first come across the idea of this game maybe in about 2020, 2021. I was just watching some videos online of someone's favorite games, their top 10, their top 20, something along those lines. And I often do that, and maybe one, two of the games or so will kind of catch my attention, and I'll try those games, and often they are added to my collection, especially if they're available. Anyways, I go to a TabsCon, Toronto Area Board Gaming Society convention on a regular basis. They hold that 4 times a year. It's quarterly. One of the ones coming up in March, every March, is called Breakout Con. It's a little bit bigger. I've never been to that Breakout Con, although I'm going this year. However, back in 2022, probably like a year ago or so, this was on their library. I pulled it out, set it down, was reading the rules a little bit, but didn't really catch on with the other guys. A lot of this is because we're reading the rules and no one knows how to play the game. I don't think it was anything wrong with the game itself. It just was to learn the game right there and then was a bit of a turn-off for us. So anyways, it never got played. It was put back on the library shelf. And then in June of 2023, because it's now 2024, this was for sale at TabsCon. They have a little sale where they have 11 o'clock, the sale starts. At 1 o'clock, the prices drop. They drop again at 3 o'clock. I was waiting until 3 o'clock to get the better price, and the problem you run into that way is someone else might buy it, which is exactly what happened. So again, this game doesn't come up used very often, which I buy most of my games used from Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji. Anyways, I was at TabsCon again in December, and there it was. This time it was $30. It was 11 o'clock. I decided, you know what, I am buying it now, so I have this game, and I'm going to learn how to play the game and play it. So here you go. Here it is. And there's the dice bed that goes inside. This game did not sit in the shelf of shame very long. In fact, it probably never did, because I would think you have some kind of a grace period of games that don't get played. If it's been over a certain amount of time, I don't know, say 6 months or so, then maybe it's on the shelf of shame. But this was only on my shelf for about a month unplayed. But anyways, it was part of my top 20 games to be played in 2024, although I put down I want to play at least 8 or 10 of those games to be within reason of my timing, my ability to play, etc., etc. So anyways, it has hit the table since then. It's a really great dice drafting game. You have different colored dice here. If it will focus, you have the red right there, purple, blue, green, and yellow. There are about 90 dice, I think. Quite a few dice anyways, and if you're playing a 4-player game, which is the maximum, it goes 10 rounds. It uses all the dice. So yeah, you would use, I guess it's 70 dice that you would use then. But anyways, it's either 90 or 70 dice. But anyways, you use up all the dice when you're doing it that way, because you have the number of players plus 1 each time it goes. Sorry, doubled. Yeah, it would be 90. Anyways, getting off track there. Lots of, this isn't all the dice, but lots of dice, cool color, right size, just to fit inside these little boxes on this player board, which is your stained glass window, which is what you're making. And then each player will get 2 of these cards. They're front and back. You'd get 2, mind you, when you're playing, and you pick which one you want. So just using this for an example, then you would slide this into your player board. And we'll see if I can get it to slide in here with one hand. We did it. So now the player board looks a bit different. So the idea here is this space would have to be a 2. It doesn't matter what color, but it has to be a 2. This one could be anything. This one would have to be a 5. It doesn't matter. And a 1. Then down here you can see in the second row you need to have a yellow die in there, a purple die, and a red die, plus a 2 and a 6. The catch of the game is, though, you can't have 2 numbers or colors side by side. Diagonal would be okay. I could have, well, that has to be a 6 anyways, but I could have a 6 here and the 6 there and be okay, but I couldn't have a yellow 6 here and a blue 6 there. Because the 6s cannot be side by side, and they can't be on top of each other that way as well. So only diagonal. And same thing with colors. You can't have 2 colors side by side, and that's where the catch comes. I've played this game twice. I've lost both times. I was in last place the second time I played it. The first time I might have been in second place. It was a 3-player game then. The second time was a 4-player game. I was in last place. Now, I've always completed my whole board here. My whole stained glass board gets filled with dice properly. But there's not a lot of penalties for failing to fill the board in that way. Okay, sorry, I had a bit of an interruption there. But anyways, back to the tile well, sorry, the board here. Give an example here in this area here. If this is what I had so far, and you probably wouldn't have this many dice, but this is what came back to me, say, and I choose something from here. I might sit there and say, okay, well, I need a 2 in this space, and I might decide, okay, I'm going to grab this 2 here. I'd grab it, place it in that spot, and think, okay, well, I've done that correctly because I need a 2 in there. The problem is this space beside it here is red, and I can't have a red 2 there. It's got to be anything but a 2, so that can't go in there. So based on the current situation, I'm not able to play in that space. And in fact, there's no 5s here. If this was what was rolled, there's no 5s there as well, so I couldn't place here either. In fact, I wouldn't be able to have that piece up here because the dice all have to be connected, but that was just an example. Let's just throw this one down here then. So now what I could do is pick anything from here and place in that corner, or something red to put up there. So maybe I take the red 6 and place in this spot here. I don't think that's going to turn out very well in the video racing like that. So this is actually okay here. The 6s are diagonal, so it's fine. There's a 2 and a 1 beside the 6, so I would be able to place those things there as long as not red coming up in the future with a different pool to draft from. I'd be able to do that, so that might be a good move here. There's also personal goals that each player would have that are color. So if my personal goal was red, that would be a good move for me because that would give me 6 points at the end of the game, so I could just put a red 6 on the board. The other thing is, I guess, if you play the way my hometown gaming group and I would play, you want to make sure that someone else doesn't get that red 6, so you put that down there. Of course, there was a yellow 6 here in the drafting area as well, so someone would get a 6 of their color. So for me, if my color was yellow, I would have picked that die instead of the red one to put that in there, give me those 6 points. But again, if the red player was able to get both of those, not the red player, but the player that has red as their goal color was able to get both of those, that'd be 12 points. So it probably would be a good idea if my color was, say, purple, to grab the red 6 so that someone else doesn't get it. The way the game works, starts player 1, they would draw a die, because there'd be, if 4-player game, there'd be 9 dice in the middle. Player 1 grabs 1, it goes around player 4. Player 4 would grab 2, and it comes back around to player 1 for the one of the final 2 dice that are left. So player 4, if they were red and both 6s were there, they may be able to get both of them on the board. Like theoretically, if it was me, I could do this move, and that's 12 points already for me early in the game. So I think when I got distracted, I was actually saying something else, and I'm going to come back to that now that it's come back to my mind quickly, is every time I've played the game so far, which has only been twice, mind you, I've been able to fill up my player board. But I've lost every game. In fact, I lost rather badly the second time I played with 4 players. And the players that are beating me every time in the first game and in the second game, they're not finishing their player board. So it's only -1 for every one of these spaces that aren't filled. Doesn't matter if it has a color there, a shade, which is the numbered dice, or just a blank area. It's only -1 point for not filling it. So don't get too stressed about filling up your board. Focus more on getting your color. So again, if my color was red, getting more reds here. And if another drafting comes up, if there's more red there, I would be trying to get those 2 red. Even though the one's only a 2, it's still 2 more points that I would get. So I'd be trying to get all red as best I could on my board here. There'll also be other public objective cards that would have certain things, like, for example, all different colors going across the board that way, or diagonally, not diagonally, but horizontally, or up and down. That would be, again, bonus points for that. There's also things where if you have a 1 and 2 side by side, 3 and 4 side by side, or a 5 and 6 side by side, there's an extra 2 points for that. So focus on those things. That's more important in this game than filling up your stained glass window. In my mind, I thought it was really important to finish the stained glass window, but it's not. And in fact, there's only enough dice to fill everyone's player board here, doing through the 10 turns with 2 dice each. So it's not like if you miss one time, you're not going to get your thing filled. It's not like there's another chance to fill that spot later with other dice rolls. It just isn't. So don't worry about it. The penalty's not that big. It's -1. Since that time, I've actually seen this online, Sagrada 5 to 6 player expansion. So I picked it up. I know Sagrada will hit the table again because it's pretty quick. So it's a nice filler game when you're playing a bigger game like our favorite over there, Axis and Allies. or even something else like Everdell or Wingspan or something that's taking up most of your day, to play this maybe in between a couple games of that or before or after. So I got the 5 to 6 player expansion for those days when I do have five. I generally prefer to have 4 people over playing, but sometimes we do have 5, and 6 is definitely in the realm of possibility. So now this game here could hit the table in that situation with the 5 to 6 player expansion. Anyways, I think this is a great game. If you're considering buying it, I would recommend to do so. It really is a great game. It didn't like overly excite me the way I thought it might, so maybe it wasn't quite as much as the hype I had for it, but it didn't disappoint either, on the other hand. So hopefully that makes sense by saying it that way, because sometimes I get really excited for a game. And I think the reason it didn't excite me as much is because it doesn't matter that much if you fill your window. And maybe it's because I miss playing the game. Maybe if I start playing it properly and do better because I'm getting more points because I'm focusing on the bonuses and not filling my window, maybe I'll enjoy it more. Maybe I thought too it was a bit longer of a game. I do like having games like this that are quicker, so you can play one, like I said, at the end of a larger game day, or if you're having a smaller game day, just throw this in between like a game of Wingspan and Everdell or something like that, just to get your mind on something different. So fantastic game, and maybe didn't live quite up to the hype I had for it, but it certainly did deliver. It's a great game, so I do recommend it. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I would say maybe an 8 out of 10, but definitely a fun game. And obviously, I went out and got the 5 to 6 player expansion, so it's something where I do plan on playing it again. So I think that does indicate that I really enjoyed the game. Anyways, hope this was useful.